There is a quiet frustration that many leaders carry, and you don't always hear it in conversations. You don't always see it on the surface, but it shows up in moments. Moments when you've done everything right. You studied, you prepared, you earned what you were supposed to earn, and yet something still feels off. It's that space between what you know and what you're experiencing. Because the truth is, you can only be fully trained, and you can be fully trained altogether and still feel ineffective. Good people, I'm your Convergence leader, Reginald Delman Thompson, and I want to walk you into something, not rush you into it, but because it's not a loud question. This is a quiet one. You got the degree, but can you really shepherd the people? And I'm not asking that to discredit education. I'm asking because I've seen something that is not of the norm that we need to address because there are leaders who are well trained, well structured, well informed, but when it comes to people, uh, there is a disconnect, not because they don't care, but because they were never formed for that part. Because somewhere along the way, we mastered information, but missed impartation. We learned how to preach, but not always how to pastor pain. We learn how to study scripture and exegete, but not always how to sit in silence with someone who is breaking. And that gap is where many leaders are losing people. And let me go a step further. Some of you have been trained thoroughly in the protocols of your organization. You know the bylaws very well. You understand governance. You can recite structure to the letter. But here's the real question: can you take all that structure and still connect with a dying world? Because people are not drawn to policy, they are drawn to presence. And if all you carry is structure, but no sensitivity, you will be correct, but you will not be effective. And that's where the tension actually grows because now you're not just dealing with what you learned, you're dealing with what people actually need. Some of you have gone through Episcopal training, you've gone through seminars and symposiums and training classes. You understand the office, you understand the garments, you understand the symbolism, you know how to carry the crozier, but can you carry the weight of the people? The same way you carry the symbol of authority, because the crozier represents responsibility, not just rank. And if you can carry the staff, but not the struggle of the people, then something is out of balance. So now we have to deal with this honestly, because the issue is not education, the issue is formation. Because they taught you how to construct a sermon, but they didn't always teach you how to handle a situation. They show you how to develop theology, but not always how to show up in tragedy. They gave you the language, but not always presence. And people can tell the difference. So if we're going to talk about real shepherding, let's talk about what it actually requires. Not in theory, but in reality. You need discernment, not just data, not just demographics, but the ability to feel what hasn't been said yet. You need presence, not performance, because people remember who stayed, not who impressed. You need connection, not just content, because if you cannot reach them, you cannot lead them. And you need the capacity to carry the weight, because shepherding is not about managing people, it's about carrying them when they cannot carry themselves. So let me say this very clearly to us. Um, what good is a sermon if it never touches the condition of people? What good is your theology if it cannot sit in somebody's pain without rushing past it? Mm, what good is your degree if the people you lead still feel unseen? Because shepherding is not proven in your study, it's revealed in your presence and the need for you to show up. So now, here's a real question. The real question is not for your title, not for your resume, but for your calling. You're educated, but are you effective? You're trained, but are you transformative? You can preach, but can you shepherd? That's the real question here. Because at the end of the day, people will not remember how much you knew, they will remember how you handled them or whether you mishandled them. When they were at their lowest, did you do what you were required to do to show up and be present? And the thing is, if you cannot carry people, you cannot call yourself a shepherd. So sit with that. My name is Reginald Delman Thompson, and I want to see you in the next video because I want to show you some things, and we want to take a didactic look at some subject matters that have been untethered and untouched and unaddressed.